Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Moss, comedian extraordinaire. Before we get started, let me say Ramadan Mubarak. In advance, I'm hoping that everybody has a successful fast. Now, brothers and sisters, I'm here today to talk about the Islamic City 30-day challenge to love Allah more. What does that mean, Preacher? It means that we're all going to talk about the different ways that we can love Allah more, that we can dedicate ourselves and devote ourselves to the Most High, and in this special time of the year, Ramadan, get closer to our Lord. Now, the way I'm going to love Allah more, brothers and sisters, is I'm going to focus on correctness. Self-correctness, emotional correctness, spiritual correctness. Because I believe in this way I get closer to my Lord because I'm a lot more humble and a lot more open to His mercy and His wisdom. This was a big thing for me when I became Muslim about self-correction, especially growing up in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, hearing all the noise about what I was supposed to be as a young black man, as a young black boy. And I found this calm, if you will. This calm that was passed down for me, from my relatives, my mom, my dad, all my relatives. It was that whole idea that we could self-correct ourselves. And I found this peace in the religion of Al-Islam. Now, you can't do what I'm going to do. I mean, don't copycat. Make your own video. I already said I'm going to love Allah more because I'm going to focus on self-correction. You have an opportunity to make your own video and talk about how you are going to love Allah more. That's right. So what are you standing there for? You got a limited amount of time. Ramadan is starting in like 15 minutes. I believe that you should get out and try to figure out how you're going to love Allah more. Make a video, 2-3 minutes. Join the challenge for Islamic City to love Allah more. I'm Preacher Moss. In advance, Ramadan Mubarak, and I'll be seeing you throughout this 30 days. Take care. Man, assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. This is day 10 of our Ramadan 30 for 30. I can't believe that 10 days is wow. 10 days is just gone. I remember actually getting ready for Ramadan and kind of not anxiety or a little panic, but it's like, man, it's here already. Like I remember my last Ramadan and it was kind of not memorable because I was sick during Ramadan. And praise to Allah, I had a little bug heading into Ramadan this year, but it seems like it cleared up, or at least it was workable, so I could still fast during the day. Alhamdulillah for that. This seems to be a bit of a transition period for a lot of people that I'm talking to. One of my good friends, Brother Ali, talked about how he can't believe that Ramadan is going so quickly. And I could be wrong because it just seems that we are roaring through Ramadan. I find myself, unfortunately, but truthfully, being transparent, behind on some of my things, some of the trips to the mosque, some of my reading, things like that. And it just seems like when I came into the scope of doing Ramadan this year, that Ramadan was supposed to fix these things. Let me tell you what I mean. Ramadan was going to help me reshape and remold some of the good habits, make them great habits, some of the bad habits, make them better habits, or eliminate them all together. And I just found it's like, man, I am constantly on this treadmill. Here we are in the next 10 days. The first 10 days of Ramadan is always focused on mercy, and his next 10 days is focused on forgiveness. I personally am really, really hoping that I can get into a space where I can just forgive people, like listen to what people have to say, forgive them, and inshallah, I'll ask for forgiveness for the things that I think I was lacking on, or just cases and point where I might have made somebody uncomfortable or slighted them or possibly disrespected them. It's kind of funny because as you get older, and this is being real true, as you get older, sometimes the significance of Ramadan carries a different weight. And it is a certain reverence to the fact that you begin to understand you're not going to have as many Ramadans left. In my age at 56, you look around at people that were good friends and they're not there anymore. And you say, man, you know that you wish they were here for Ramadan because you see the people, the survivors of these beautiful people who are going through their fast and trying to develop some type of meaningful continuum as to how do I work with this particular person, how do I work with this person in my life. So I have to say, this space about Ramadan and the next 10 days being about forgiveness it's really tough. I think it's going to be really tough. I have to be honest about myself. I've been fairly critical about a lot of some of the things that I've seen. And while I want to forgive, the incidents. I want to forgive the people. I just find it in my heart, and it's not being demonic or anything. I'm just demanding that I see people's body at work. That I am not so forthright about asking for forgiveness. And even though it's Ramadan, I am demanding to see people's work. I want to know in my heart of hearts that you're really about what you're talking about. That I'm not giving out forgiveness like government cheese. I'm not doing that. I'm demanding that whatever it is that you did or I did, that there is a chain, of transmission that says that these are the things I worked on and that these are the things that I'm trying to work on. I'd even go so far as to say that when we ask for forgiveness from people, don't ask for it right away. Ask for it conditionally, meaning that I want you to hold me accountable, because I find when that happens, when you ask people for forgiveness, but it's conditional, and you're demanding and they're demanding that we see the work, that it's not a blanket, okay, it's all right, that builds character. I remember one time, my mom and I had a tiff. I was real little, young, cocky, whatever, and I had to buy some glasses. And I sat there, and my mom was like, "I need you to do this, I need you to do that, I need you to do this." And I just bought these new glasses. Well, she had bought these new glasses, and I'm sitting there with my dad, and I'm moaning and complaining. "Oh, that was you working me, da da da." And I turned, my dad didn't say anything. He just looked this way, and I looked at, and there was my mom standing there. And this is the woman who's been working her job, trying to make sure that I have clothes on my back, trying to make sure that I have food. On top of it, I could go and get these glasses. Glasses weren't cheap then. I couldn't see what the damn. And I saw her looking like, I can't believe you would say that about me. I just asked you to do what you're supposed to do. And I remember I was so ashamed that I actually went and walked to my mother, and I actually took the glasses off and put them down. I put them down on the table and walked away. I didn't feel I was entitled to those glasses, because all she asked me to do was what she wanted me to do at the point in time. And I was cocky and I was arrogant. And I did ask my mom for forgiveness, but I said, let me earn your forgiveness. And maybe that's the thing that I'm not seeing these days. People want mercy, but are you earning my mercy? People want forgiveness, but are you earning my forgiveness? I mean, these are things we got to talk about here on the ShOUT Show. Listen, we're going to be right here. I see my family's in the queue. So we're going to start the show officially. By the way, shout out to Sister Satana. She won't be here on the broadcast today. She has some things to do, as all of you do. So listen, if you can't make the ShOUT Show because you're fasting and things like that, put your fast before the show. That's extremely important. So we'll be right back talking about forgiveness the next 10 days here on the ShOUT Show. I'm Preacher Moss. All right, want to give a shout out to the ShOUT Show family. Not here today. I hope she's feeling well. Want to give a shout out to Sister Ree. Of course, we call Ree our craft services director. Very, very dear friend. Very dear friend of my mom, family friend. Shout out to Sister Ree, her husband Derek as well. Give a shout out to Juwan, her son. Hope everything's going all right with my dear Sister Ree. Also want to give a shout out. He's in the house, brothers and sisters. Let's bring him on in here. Known by his government name, Johnny L. Thomas, we call him JT. Wa'alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just so you guys know, JT for many years has fasted with me. Is he Muslim? He might as well be. He's fasted with me for a number of years, just in terms of emotional support, spiritual support, big brother support from a little brother. I really, really appreciate that. Much love to you, Ak. I'm pleased as Sponge. He starts a new job this month, so please let's send some prayers his way for a successful entry into the job market. Not sexually. I just want you to do well in the job, and I just want you to grow, man. You're an excellent dude, you're mad talented and mad skilled. So I just want people to recognize what we've been talking about all along. Shout out to JT, my main man from Toronto, brother Altaf Rashid. Assalamu alaikum assalam rahmatullahi barakatuh to you, my dear brother. I hope you're doing well, man. Thank you for tuning in. This is like a really, really special core group that we have that come on the shout out show. Um, and shout out to GVM. I bought some new lights for the studio. So I look like I'm supposed to look. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And I just want to make a quick point. Just a quick point. Altaf coming from Toronto and JT coming from Milwaukee, and I'm going to get to big brother Bilal here in a minute. You have to understand that there's such a premium on time. Even if you're spending a half hour, 5 minutes, I take it as a mercy. I take it as a blessing. You guys don't know, you ladies don't know how much it means to me, because I've been able to improve as a speaker, improve as a host, improve as a producer, director. I now have clients that I do this for. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. I also am able to go out on stage and perform and have that perspective of putting a program together, producing new projects, taking on new jobs. I am grateful to the Shout Out Show family, because where we started back in 2020, let me be honest, I didn't really know how to do a show. We had StreamYard, we had things like that, but the idea of now having a studio where I can do editing and things like that. And just so you know, I have a journalism background. I hated editing. I'm not going to say I hated journalism. I learned how to write, and that saved my career. But the editing, the nuance, the production, I wasn't into that. But technology, alhamdulillah, catches up, and now you can do everything from your computer, your phone, things like that. So we're on a wellspring. So let me throw that out there. Altaf, thank you again for tuning in. We appreciate you, man. Much love. Make sure everybody go to permissiblelaughter@gmail.com and get your stuff in so I can send you. Bilal, I'm going to give a shout out to Bilal. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi barakatuh, brother Bilal. Sister Sonia, we're going to do the same thing as last year, but it is a small increase. We're doing 35. It'll be 70 coming to you. Make sure I get your Zelle or your Venmo or your Cash App so I can make sure I take care. I think I still have your Cash App from last year. Altaf, I remember, I don't know if you had that in Canada, Venmo, Zelle, but what you can do is let me know what works best for you. And I will do what we did last year to make sure you're taking care of. JT, you're old as well. So let me get to the crux of this conversation. How hard is it for you to forgive? Now, the question with forgiving with me is to totally forgive that you have to, in many regards, you got to rinse your soul. You literally got to rinse your soul or whatever was in there that was problematic, and you got to flop it out, you got to let it dry. It's a process is what I'm saying. To go out and send a text, because you're going to get text over the next 10 days. Oh, brother, oh, sister, please forgive me if I've ever slighted you. I'm like, hey, man, I'm going to keep it 100. If you've ever disrespected or slighted me, and I know whether I've ever disrespected or slighted you. If it is a certain thing where I didn't know, problematically, you'll be able to say that, and it'll come out in the conversation. Like they say, it will rinse out in the wash. But I think these days, we're quick to give forgiveness. We're quick to give forgiveness, and it's very formulaic. It's the thing that we do to move on. It's the thing that we do to not talk about exactly what we did. A lot of times when we're talking about forgiveness, we have to understand that you can't remove intention from forgiveness. Like when you forgive somebody, there has to be intention involved. If there's not intention involved, there's usually tension involved, meaning that whatever it is that caused the action that require an apology or some forgiveness, that it is a certain situation where a lot of it is deliberate. It's deliberate, and you know the feeling when something is deliberate. When it's not deliberate, you're like, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. When it's deliberate, it's a much longer conversation. This is something that's sunk into your consciousness. And I would like to begin with myself talking about, forgiveness sometimes is the erosion of time. It's the erosion of time. We began to look at the scope of forgiveness, understanding that we're not going to have this opportunity again. We're not going to be able to say it to that person again. Life in and of itself requires so much mobility and so much transition. A lot of times when you're apologizing, sometimes people don't even know what you're apologizing for. And I'm not saying throw it out on a blanket wise. It's just that asking for forgiveness is inviting mercy back to you. You know, we have this scope. And I'm at this age now, and I say this now, where for the problems or the issues I have and I ask for forgiveness, I feel like I'm on point. I'm on fleek. I'm on point because somebody's watching me. God Allah is watching me going, how are you going to resolve this situation? And sometimes the forgiveness, I don't know if it's accepted or not. Sometimes I call it go away forgiveness. Like people will go away. Oh man, please forgive me, brother. Yeah, we good. You're not good. We're not really, really good. In fact, we're still pissed off. But my point is this year, for this particular Ramadan, because I've gone through a lot with family and loss and things like that. Do yourself a favor. Don't combine your forgiveness with regrets. Separate the two. Regrets is something different. Forgiveness is something different. And if you can separate the two and understand that between the giver and the receiver for forgiveness, there is a scope of intention. I think that we can be a much happier society. Like we're going to walk through some phases in politics. And what's going to happen through politics is you're going to find that politicians have done things in the context of policy, legal mandate, and stuff like that, that you weren't aware of, that you didn't have a cognizant understanding of, that even if you read the fine print was a lie. So it is sometimes when we deal with forgiveness, that people give us a layer of forgiveness to address, but we're not allowed to see the fine print. We're not allowed to see the minutiae of what got you from point A to point B, that we're having this conversation right now. Now, I'm not trying to come off negative. That's not it. I'm trying to come off informed, and I want to share some things that I have on my mind in the context that maybe some of you have some of these same feelings too, some of these same emotions too. You know, in marriages, a lot of times we ask for forgiveness, but we're not necessarily wanting it. What we want is peace. What we want is less argument. What we want is, listen, I'm not trying to be in a position where I have to hammer my thoughts home. Man, sometimes it's the go away. Let me tell y'all something about the go away forgiveness. Asking for forgiveness on the go away. Whew. In finance and business, they have a thing with acquisition and mergers. And sometimes a company will acquire another company and they'll keep that president on or that key administrator on. They'll keep them on because they need that person to help them with the transition of the acquisition. Like, we need you to show us how the companies run. So before we bring our own people in, we need to understand the buying philosophy or the marketing, whatever. And once that person is there, they bring in their own people and they don't need that person. So what they give that person is a salary, but they tell them, you know what, you don't really need to come into the office Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. In fact, just call on Thursday, 2 to 6. In fact, just call on Thursday, just an hour. It's go away money. I paid you, just go away. I pray, inshallah, that I'm not doing the go away situation with people, because I know I can be flippant sometimes. Not even knowing that I'm not. Sometimes I'm just tired. And sometimes, let's be honest, when people come to me with issues, I have to ask the question, well, what does this really have to do with me? Like, how am I part of your conversation? And even more so, how am I part of your solution? It happens. So listen, we're going to be back here momentarily. We're going to be talking about the next 10 days, forgiveness, and all that good stuff. Don't you move. This Preacher Moss on the ShOUT Show. If I don't come back, then forgive me.
We just need help.
Imagine if there wasn't an olive branch. Muslim Family Services at your command. The people who help people have to say, we need your donations, don't delay. We all have struggles from time to time, but leaders dedicated is what you find. Before another person sheds a tear, support Olive Branch, you don't have to fear. Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. Action you can see, compassion you can feel. Sing it with me. Ooh. Ooh. All right, we're back. Shout out to Olive Branch Muslim Family Services doing some amazing things in the city of Houston. Among them, the Afghan refugee resettlement efforts that they've been doing, getting CDL licenses for people to start their lives over and have a business. I love the idea that part of the resettlement philosophy of Olive Branch is to make sure that they are setting people up to have their own businesses, which is a direct pathway to financial freedom. And I want to say cultural capital. When you are working and when you own something, it's totally different than when you work for somebody. Trust me. So let me get back on this point that I started talking about forgiveness. I was at Juma yesterday. And I attended a Nation of Islam masjid. They had Imam Sultan Muhammad, student minister Abdul Alim Muhammad, student minister Abdul Halim Muhammad. Mosque number 45. And this is why I bring this up. When they were speaking about Ramadan, what I love about this particular khutbah is Imam Sultan brought up this whole idea that when you ask for forgiveness, the narrative comes from Allah because it's a reminder. Forgiveness is a reminder at some point in time that require purity. That you have to have purity. Something has to be cleaned up. So I'm not a fan of the just let me throw out this forgiveness. Something has to be cleaned up. Whether it's your behavior, whether it's your language, whether it's your actions, if you're out in these streets doing things you ain't supposed to do, out here drinking, chasing, whatever it is you have to do, it requires a renewal period whereby, hear me, you can engage purity. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness, but we ask also not for forgiveness, but redemption and repentance. The problem with a lot of the forgiveness out here, and I alluded to earlier, is that people say, forgive me, but they don't want to show you a body of work. Forgive me and let me know, okay, cool. I'm gonna make it a situation where I don't have to have myself in this position in front of you ever again. This is important. Being able to tell people, hey, listen, I made this mistake, but let me redeem myself. Let me create a new body of work whereby you will look at me and go, you know what? The forgiveness that I invested in that person was a valuable investment. Hear me now. When you forgive somebody, you're making an investment in that person. And just like any other investment, you're looking for a return, some kind of dividend. It's not a dividend that comes to you. It's a dividend that comes to them. And that dividend that comes to you is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the currency of forgiveness. This is the currency of asking for repentance and redemption. Even more so, in this next 10 days, you will see things, and I can't even call them. It might be acts of violence, might be acts of war. And you begin to understand, well, people who may have asked for forgiveness with the strongest of intent, they didn't have a body of work to back it up. We don't know if they'll do it again. No, we call, in the criminal justice now, we call these type of people repeat offenders. That sometimes people ask for forgiveness, but they're repeat offenders. So the moment you get the forgiveness, it's just to put you in another position where you're going to go out and do the same doggone thing. Thus, I would say it does require discipline. One of my favorite concepts in Islam, I have a few, but one of my favorite concepts in Islam is the concept of tawakkul. Tawakkul, which broaches the idea that I have belief and I have faith. I believe that there's no God but Allah. I believe that Prophet Muhammad. But do I have faith? Do I have faith? Faith requires the unseen. Al khayb. And when you forgive somebody, let me throw this out. When you forgive somebody, you are forgiving them in the unseen. When they walk away, you've given them a tool to take into the unseen. Your forgiveness is supposed to be an inspiration for them out of your eyesight to do the right things, to engage healthy practices. And sometimes people don't do that. Now, me saying that requires the fact that I say we have to pray for those people. I'm not saying they can't turn around. I'm not saying I've been perfect. I've asked for forgiveness for things, turned around and done the same doggone thing. I've asked for forgiveness numerous times when I thought something didn't turn out the way I wanted it to be. So I felt like my body of work was compromised. The person goes, no, we good. No, we're really, really good. I'm like, no, it was supposed to look like this. And in that, and I'll say this, because I know we're getting to the end of our time. In that, I'm going to demand that when people ask for forgiveness, that what they give me in return, their body of work, represents the fact that they are pursuing human excellence. I have a friend who was on some drugs one time. He was on drugs bad. We had a falling out. He stole some stuff. And I went to get my stuff. And believe me, I wasn't on the dean like I am now. But when I stole my stuff, I gave him the business, let him know you might not want to steal from me again. It happens. I'm just a man. He was a man. We wrestled and tussled. And I tried to introduce him to every corner of his house, every wall I could, because I was upset. For that, I asked for forgiveness. He said, I understand. I said, no, I'm trying to be a better person. He said, yeah. He said, will you forgive me for this, that? And then there was other things. He asked for forgiveness. I had no idea they happened. Made me want to jump on him again. But I realized in talking with the elders that my forgiveness was an investment. And if you're not going to look at this opportunity as investment, stop saying you forgive somebody, because you really don't. I invested in him and this forgiveness. And years later, he called me. I was in town doing a show. He called me and said, hey, man, I saw you performing in town. I said, I'd love to see you. And I went to see him. He gave me an address. And we call ourselves meeting up to go to Juma. And we went to Juma. And his investment was that the khatib that day was his son. The khatib that day was his son. And he said the investment was I made sure that my children didn't go through issues with substance abuse. While I cleaned myself up, I cleaned myself to the point where these children didn't even know that I had these problems. And he said, that's my son that's leading the kuppah. I said, that is an investment. And it's an investment because you feel the scope of a blessing all the way around. So this Ramadan, before somebody asks me for forgiveness, I ask somebody for forgiveness, I'm going to put some parameters on it. That we, in our forgiveness, in the unseen of each other, that we strive for human excellence. That whatever it is we have, we let that be not a barrier, but a launching point to have better character, have better behavior. That tawakkul means that I have total trust in Allah that He's going to take care of you, and you're going to have total trust in Allah. He's going to take care of you as well. We're going to feel this thing. And maybe, you will see your investment that you made in somebody pay off. Because when they asked you for forgiveness, you say, yeah. Then you say, show me the excellence. All right, everybody. That's me. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you tomorrow, inshallah. Have a blessed day. Ramadan number 10. See you on 11. Assalamu alaikum.